we know that the Epstein list is set to be revealed in New York, possibly by the time that this goes to air, when it's online and people will be watching this back in the future.
I don't think so, Pat. It's breaking news. It's coming out around January 22nd. So unless you're putting me in the old freezer, it's January 22nd. And let me tell you why. The U.S. District Court for it's the U.S. District Court of Southern New York, I believe. They want to look at one of these Jane Doe's requests to keep her anonymous. So a potential victim is asking that the courts exclude her name. And that's the thing, Patrick. I know that we are, chomping at the bit to see these 150 names that could potentially be revealed in this Epstein list, because we know it's huge names like Microsoft's Bill Gates. It's former President Bill Clinton, potentially. Elon Musk is another name that's being thrown around. But what we haven't thought about is the amount of victims that could potentially be, called out on this list. And I do think in this case, holding it until at least January 22nd, giving them time to determine whether or not everybody should be exposed in this way. I think that they're trying to protect some potential victims, which, at the end of the day, it's important.
I mean, the reason that I was bringing that up was, of course, in relation to Prince Andrew. And apparently the rumours are here at the moment that he is struggling a little bit with the pressure of potentially an imminent release. It also appears that there's a possibility of a remarriage on the cards for him and Sarah Ferguson. That would be quite something, wouldn't it, if Fergie was really, really welcomed back into the fray officially. And whether or not Charles should open the door to Eugenie and Beatrice, their daughters, extending royal duties there as well. It's a little bit of a mess around at Prince Andrew's at the moment.
I agree. And I think that our issue publicly, just not as a royal commentator, not as a media personality, but I think publicly, the issue with Prince Andrew and Epstein is guilt by association. I don't know if I believe the accusations against him. I actually don't think I do. I think that, when he says he's innocent, I kind of believe him. And it has nothing to do with that bizarre bathtub picture that was released. Remember when they were just wearing the masks and they released those very bizarre bathtub pictures to try to prove his innocence? Oh, that was
that was weird.
I would have voted against that strategy. But I do think publicly it's guilt by association when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein. And you're only as strong as your weakest member. So when people are critical of you because of your association with somebody that was so unsavory, you're inevitably going to be critical of Prince William, or you're inevitably going to be critical of the king because that's the king's brother, that's the future king's uncle. A marriage to Fergie, I absolutely think would increase his brand likability, because we all loved that couple years ago. But I do think that the public's issue with him is just the association with somebody that was just so nasty.
And I think one of the big problems with Fergie was that supposedly, anyway, Prince Philip absolutely hated her, and obviously, regrettably, he is gone now. And so actually that problem is out of the way. Maybe she can just come back completely.
I mean, that's what we've all heard over the years, that was his rule, that he wanted a distance from her. She was apparently heartbroken that she was not invited to William and Catherine's wedding. And then Harry and Meghan came in and saved the day and invited her to theirs. Fergie is a likable character, but I also would caution that she loves the media. She'll run up and throw her arms around media individuals, and whether or not she whispers things into their ear, I don't know. But I do think loose lips sink ships, and she's got a podcast. She's a duchess with a podcast. Still Meghan no longer. But Fergie still has her podcast. So I just think, again, too, with Princess Eugenie and Beatrice coming back into the fold, Eugenie is very close to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So you've got to be cautious around her with what you say, because it could end up back in Montecito, whispered to somebody in Montecito, and then end up in newspapers. You're right. Messy is a really good way to describe it, and they should be very cautious moving forward when it comes to the Yorks. And I like them. I think that they're likable individuals, but I think PR-wise, that they need to be cautious.